Me and my friend Alexander's families used to work in the power plant Chernobyl, but were evacuated after the infamous incident. Still, we lived really close to Pripyat, the town in which the power plant was. Ever since we were kids we wanted to get into the town and see the inside. Our grandparents have told us so much about it and our interest was enormous. So in the summer of 2015 we started exploring the woods around Pripyat in order to get into the town. We tried many different routes, but unfortunately we always ended up at some of the checkpoint stations, all of whom were guarded by militia, and getting by the militia is impossible. But one day after trying for years we finally found a way. We had to go across a small river, and a kilometer of wood, but in the end we arrived there. The road led us at the part of the town which is the furthest from the power plant. It was early about 10 a.m. when we got there. We had the whole day to wander around. It was a bit scary, but so exciting. We walked across the empty streets looking at the sad, dying buildings, but still it felt great. Who wouldn't want to wander in a forbidden town? Of course, the first thing we wanted to see was the power plant. Arriving there, the first thing which caught my eye was the rusting nuclear sign placed in front of the power plant. We went in. On the inside the power plant was dirty, rotting and full of corrosion. Even the wind we barely felt outside, on the inside sounded like whispering ghosts. While we were walking around, in one of the corridors we found enormous amount of blood. The whole hallway was in some sort of a ritualistic blood sacrifice. It was strange, it looked as if it was intentionally placed this way. What could have left the blood there? Wolves? Bears? Whatever it was, it made us go out of the power plant. Still we wanted to explore the town. Why would we put so much work in finding a way to the town, if we will run right away? So, we started exploring the streets. We went into a couple of flats. In all of them we found old clothes, TVs, family pictures, sofas, beds. Strange thing we found there was the diary of Anne Frank dedicated as a present to a 17-year-old girl. The flat we went in last was numbered 766. It's there where we discovered it. This flat had a really strong odor. The first floor was not unusual. Rotten beds, radios that don't work, the usual. The steps to the second floor were wet and slippery, the fluid was smelling strange, probably the water has mixed with mold. When we entered the first apartment on the second floor we saw a big table, placed in the middle of an empty apartment. There was blood on the table and some small body part. We went closer. The body part was an ear, human ear. Was there someone else who ventured in this place and got eaten by some animal? Why was there only one table in the whole apartment? Why weren't there any clothes? There were a lot of questions we were asking ourselves. We hoped to find the answers in the next apartment. And we found them. What we saw there was simply unbelievable. The whole apartment was like a basement, the dark curtains were drawn. In the dark we saw all these jars. And in the jars, there were human organs. A jar with ears, a jar with eyes, a jar with fingers, toes, livers and so on, and so on. There was a jar with every human organ. I was fighting myself to not faint. My feet were weak, I was speechless. I just heard Alex mumbling, "Let's get out of here," and we started running. I couldn't stop wondering who would still be here, who would he have killed? It wasn't just one person's organs there. I didn't know, I just kept running. At some point I puked without even realizing it. I didn't even stop running while I was puking. When we were next to the stairs by the exit, we saw the inhabitants, disgusting old woman and a man, most likely her son. Both had mutated. Their skin was full with bruises. The man's teeth were like a shark's jaws. Her head was completely bald and head skin was yellowish. At the moment they saw us, they started running after us. We got to the second floor's windows and jumped. The fall was not that big and we had enough strength to run away. The man chased us to the sign saying "Danger Zone." Do not cross.